Well, before we get started and do get into it, I want to go back to a question that you actually asked me last week. Do you remember what it was?
No, I don't even
No.
remember yesterday. So,
Yeah, we talked about a lot of different things, but you had asked why the parents in Hocus Pocus really weren't concerned about where their kids were. And I gave you the answer that I did, that the parents were relaxed in the 90s. They did care, but they're more relaxed than parents are so now. So after our pod, I actually went out and I asked a few people about their experiences as kids. And I asked my mom about my experience and her experience with me. And essentially, they all said kind of the same thing. You know, we got kicked out of the house during the daytime. We came back in with the lights when the street lights came on. Generally, our parents knew approximately where we were, and like we would check in. Um, to like let them know if we were going to change where we were planning on being, where they could find us. And that's what a lot of my friends said. I did ask a lot of people. And then my mom was like, yeah, I always knew that I could find you at the park, or I could find you biking around the neighborhood, or maybe you'd be down at my neighbor Jonathan's house. He was kind of like my little brother at the time, or at my friend Emily's house, which was down the road. So I was trying to think about like during this time, around the time that this movie came out for Hocus Pocus, I was like, where would I have been and what would I have been doing? But a lot of times she was like, yeah, I wanted you out of the house during the day. So, and we talked a little bit about what's changed. And I was like, all these kids now, like you were saying, growing up, like your parents knew where you were because you were kind of being tracked. And we were trying to think of like why that happened because all the parents, like your parents and everybody else's parents of your generation and the Gen Alpha, like they all grew up like I did. They grew up not their parents never knowing where they were exactly. And so we decided like it must have been the media because the media is like more prominent now. And you know when a kid is missing in like Arkansas, even though you don't live in Arkansas, like that wasn't a thing back then. You knew about missing kids from not from social media. You knew about them from like a milk carton or a TV program or maybe a radio or news announcement. And so like all of this media coverage of all these things kind of put fear into a lot of parents, I think. And that might be why it's different now than it was, even though the number of statistics haven't changed. I mean, but it's good for, well, it's bad for kids trying to not be tracked by their parents. It's actually good for all of the, kids that do go missing to have that rapidly get pushed out to like millions of people so that they can be found at a faster rate or found at all. So, I think that's the difference and why it was just kind of less prevalent. I mean, we didn't hear about that stuff. It the information wasn't instantaneous like it is now. So we had a little bit more freedom and part of me misses that. But also I understand kind of why we're here. So um anyway, well, everybody, welcome back to Millennial Meets Gen Z, 90's edition. If you have stories that you want to tell about growing up either with a tracking device like Hannah did, or not an official tracking device, but or maybe you were like me and the street lights came on and you got home, or in my case, my stepdad would whistle and you could hear it like across the neighborhood. He like had hunting dogs and he called his hunting dogs the same way. So that was embarrassing for me. But that's how we knew we had to be home. So if you have stories, make sure you share with us on social, send us a message. But we are introducing this 90 obsessed Gen Zer to the 90's. Go ahead.
hi, I'm Hannah. I love the 90s. I grew up looking at my mom's photographs and just hearing about all my mom's stories and things like that. So I want to learn more. Hence what we're doing now.
So she's the Gen Z, and I'm Allison. I'm the millennial, and we're gonna dive into our movie today. So this last week we watched Practical Magic. Um, before I get into the synopsis, what did you think overall, without giving too much away?
As we know, I have a bad habit of slightly giving things away, so I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. So out of the characters, for once, I don't think I have a favorite. I liked the main characters, Sally and Ginny the same. So that was pretty cool. I was like, oh my God, I don't have a favorite. So I really liked the characters. I loved the casting and I loved the style. I'm so jealous of the style. In fact, I want to steal Ginny's clothes and wear it. I'm so jealous. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was a great movie. I loved the plot. I loved the plot twists. And I loved that it was like witchy. I love
Yeah.
spiritual type of stuff. So, and that's right up my alley. So it was nice to get to see witches doing witchy stuff.
Yeah, I really thought that you would have seen this movie just because it is such a witchy movie. Like I said, they're making another one, Practical Magic 2. Just like they are bringing back everything in the 90's, it seems like. First came the clothes and then came everything else, it seems. But yeah, they're going to be making a new one. And so the clothes are a very interesting key component, but it's a very witchy movie, and I just thought it would have been right up your alley. So I'm glad we got to watch it. Practical Magic is about two sisters, Sally and Jillian Owens, who goes by Jilly, who are part of a family of witches that are centuries old curse. Any man that they fall in love with will ultimately meet their untimely death. The story follows the sisters as they navigate this curse and then their eccentric upbringing with their aunts. And then a supernatural crisis that forces them to use their powers together. So we dive into kind of the story of the Owens curse and the story of the sisters themselves and how they go about breaking it. The Practical Magic was directed by Griffin Dunn. The novel was actually written by Alice Hoffman and then adapted for the screenplay by Robin Secord, Akiva Goldsman, and Adam Brooks. And I guess we can dive into the movie. Does that sound good to you? So it opens on for more than 200 years, we Owens women have been blamed for everything that has gone on in this town, is how it starts. It all kind of began with Maria Owens. She was a witch, and they come from a long line of witches. I thought it was crazy that she says her lovers had wives on the hanging committee, which was then the first scene that we see of her potentially about to be hanged. She was then saved from hanging and was banished to the island with her unborn child. She thought her lover would follow her there, and he never showed up. It's kind of, yeah. um, she cast a spell upon herself that she would never feel the agony of love again. And this spell turned into a curse on any man that dared to love an Owens woman from there on out. So we first see the young girls playing with their mother and father on the beach. And then there's a death watch beetle ticking, which means your love is going to die. And so they hear the death watch beetle. And Jillian and Sally's father ended up passing away. They went to live with their aunts, and their mother died of a broken heart. So they went to live with Aunt Frances and Aunt Jet. What did you think of Aunt Frances and Aunt Jet?
Forgetting. But yeah, I liked them. My favorite, actually, I'm not gonna say that because I don't like spoil something, but I thought they were funny. I liked that they were so pro witchiness because I feel like if I had those type of powers, I would not want to. I don't know. I wouldn't want to use them personally. Like if I was actually magical, I would be very scared of people throwing stones at me and stuff like that, which, they dealt with bullying and all of that. So I appreciated how true to themselves they were. And I appreciated that they had boundaries on what they would and wouldn't do. I thought that was really interesting. So
Yeah. So Aunt Frances was played by Stockard Channing. She was in our movie, first movie that we did was First Wives Club. She was the friend who throws herself off the building, unfortunately. She's more well known as Rizzo from Grease. So if you've ever seen the movie Grease, she plays the bad girl Rizzo, and she's fantastic in it. Although I do know that in her career, that was kind of a tumultuous thing to have played that role and then kind of been stuck in that character a little bit when she was being cast. But she's an amazing actress. Aunt Jet is played by Diane West, which we'll probably see her again. She was in Edward Scissorhands, as we talked about. She's in The Birdcage, which we'll be watching probably in the spring. She's mostly recently been in a few episodes of Only Murders in the Building. So if you're a Only Murders fan like I am, and I know my mom is like obsessed with, you'll see her or will have already seen her. She's known for being very soft spoken. So that kind of quiet voice that she has, but firm. And she did that very well in this movie. The young Jillian or Jilly is played by Laura Ann Croswell, who only ever did one other movie after this. She was in Mockingbird Don't Sing following this movie, and then she quit acting. Sally, the young Sally, was played by Camila Bell, who was in a movie in the 2000s called Rip Girls, which was like a surfing movie. So for people of my generation, they would have seen her again in that movie. She was also in 10,000 BC, and she's been in a whole bunch of other films. So I recommend going and looking her up on IMDb. You can take a look at all the different things she's been in. As we get into the older sisters as they get older, this is the best part. So Jillian is played by Nicole Kidman. She's most known for her role in Moulin Rouge. She's played Virginia Woolf in The Hours. She's been in Eyes Wide Shut. She's been in The Others and so many things we see today. She's a glorious actress from Australia, and she is just fabulous. So you see her in a whole bunch of different things. Sally, the older Sally, is played by Sandra Bullock, and she's also been in a lot of things. You're going to see a lot of things in the 90s that she'll see her in. She was in While You Were Sleeping, which is a great movie. Hopefully we get to watch that next year. Hope Floats, Miss Congeniality, which you and I were just talking about last week, because you've never seen Miss Congeniality. And while it files outside of our 90s spiel, it's incredible. Forces of Nature, Murder by Numbers, Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. That's on our list. It's one of my favorites. 2 Weeks Notice and Crash, which is a common cultural movie that a lot of people talk about. More recently, she played opposite Channing Tatum in The Lost City. So if you saw that, that came out 3 years ago, 2022 on Netflix, I believe. But that was a good movie. So the ants do spells for other people, including a love spell where they kill a bird. Did you see that?
Yeah, I feel like from my point of view of magic, that's not very pro-love.
Yeah.
From what I know about like witchcraft and stuff like that, I was like, this is a little crazy. Like, not the type of things I've heard of.
Right. Like you want to, what love spell like kills a dove? They just like stab it with a needle. And I was like, this is terrible. And then young Sally does a true love spell, and she calls for a man who can flip pancakes into the air, be marvelously kind. His favorite shape is a star, and he has one green eye, one blue. And her plan was that he doesn't exist, so she can never get hurt. The girls grow up, and there's a scene where they cut their hands and they do a blood oath. Now, I'm going to warn you, I guess. This is in a lot of 90s movies. And this was like a thing that we did as kids. We would like cut our finger and like touch it to our friend's other bloody finger. Like that is the worst thing that you can do, because that's how you pass diseases. You can get like stuff into your bloodstream. But for some reason, this was in the 90s. A lot of movies shows would show you this. Like it's the way that you did, like you were blood sisters if you did this. It was so, I forgot about it, to be honest, until I saw that scene. And I was like, oh yeah, we did that a lot.
Yeah, also kind of crazy.
Yeah. So we're at the part where Jillian runs away from the aunt's home, and she goes through men, apparently, and is like writing home about it. Sally, meanwhile, meets the perfect guy, Michael. He's played by Mark Feuerstein, and I'm just gonna tell you, I love Mark Feuerstein. I will watch anything with him in it, and I forget that he's in this movie. I also forget he's in What Women Want, which is a really good movie. But I love him from a show called Royal Pains, which is Chef's Kiss, amazing, where he plays a doctor on call for the rich. And it's just a hilarious show. It's very funny and he's very good in it. But yeah, I just love him in about anything he does. So I was very sad that in this movie of what happens to him. I won't say any more yet. But Sally and Michael get married and they have two girls of their own, one also with red hair and one with brown hair, just kind of like the two sisters. And meanwhile, Jillian's living the wildlife. She meets Jimmy Angelov, the bad boy, who's played by Goran Visnjic. He's in this movie, he's Bulgarian, and they say that he's born somewhere near Transylvania, which makes him a vampire cowboy. Which I thought that was odd. But Sally, sadly, is woken up by the death beetle, which she's then starting to chase after, trying to get it out of her house and saying, no, 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 no. And then they show her husband, Michael, at the time, like he's pushing a cart of produce, which is what he did for a living. And something bad is obviously going to happen to him because the death beetle kills off, like it's a sign that the man that you love is going to die. And he's followed by a black dog. I noticed that in the movie, like a symbolism. And I know that in the South, black dogs are considered bad luck by people, but I don't know. I kind of didn't like that they included that because that's such a bad superstition that people have held on to for such a long time. And I've only had black dogs and I have loved every single one of them. They've been amazing. They've been the best dogs ever. So, and people won't adopt black dogs because of that symbolism. So,
yeah, and black cats.
Yeah, and black cats.
Animals. People are like stereotypical towards. It's so sad.
Yeah. And so, well, unfortunately, her husband Michael is hit by a truck and he dies. She finds that the aunts had actually cast a spell to put him into her life, and they didn't expect that she'd love him. And I thought that was crazy. You watched her get married to this man and have children, and you didn't think that she was going to love him? That seems a little weird.
I thought that was kind of funny. I kind of thought it was funny that they put a spell on her. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't blame them because she was like so against it at first.
Yeah, exactly. So the two girls and Sally go to live at the aunt's house. They move back and she vows that her kids will never be allowed to do magic, which good luck in that house. Meanwhile, with Jillian, Jimmy gets really controlling. So Jillian starts to put something in her wine that her boyfriend was drinking, and then she drives home to her aunt's house. Apparently, it was to make him sleep so she could be left alone. So she stays with Sally for a bit at the aunt's house, and then she leaves again. Meanwhile, Sally opens a store and that she talked about with her husband that had passed. I actually love that she said that she had made him her oatmeal shaving cream and he wouldn't stop eating it. That's like, that's typical man. But her daughters got mad at her that their mom doesn't cast spells and they were interested in the spells. And she's writing her sister a letter when the phone rings and the moon has a circle around it. Is that a thing, Hannah? The moon having a circle around it? Have you ever heard of that?
No, that I have not heard of. I've heard of like blood moons and things like that, but never the moon having a circle around it. No, unless it's like an eclipse of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Well, Jillian needs her help, and so Sally goes to help her. Jillian is in a motel having been abused by her boyfriend. Blood on the moon. And so Jillian goes to look for the tiger's eye when she's wait, what does the tiger's eye do? Do you know?
Yeah, tiger's eye is typically for protection and stability. It can ground you. If you're an earth sign, it's particularly very good for you. So Virgos, Capricorns, Tauruses, it's typically very good for earth signs, but it's more of a grounding protection type of thing.
Okay. Yeah. And she is in trying to find her tiger's eye. She's kidnapped by her boyfriend, kind of held in the car at gunpoint. And Sally is forced to drive them while Jimmy keeps drinking, and then he tries to brand Jilly with his ring. Jilly witchily tells Sally, like somehow through some kind of mental telepathy, that the belladonna is in her bag, and that's how she drugs the alcohol. So Sally then uses that and puts a bunch of it in the alcohol. Um, Jimmy starts strangling Jillian, and then during the struggle, he dies from too much poisoning.
Yeah.
So they drive the dead body back to the aunt's house because what else do you do with a dead body? Um, except bring it home to meet your aunts. But luckily, the aunts are out of town. They conspire to bring him back to life so they don't get in trouble for the murder, even though they've been warned that bringing someone back, they come back dark and unnatural,
Yeah.
which is a thing across like lots of movies and culture will tell you that you don't bring something back from the dead because it doesn't come back correctly. So they cast a spell to bring him back to life, which they say, black as night, erase death from our sight, white as light, mighty hectate, make it right. Do you know what hectate is?
Isn't it? Well, I know hectite is a type of crystal.
Okay. Well, Hecate is a Greek goddess. I Googled this. Don't think that I knew this off the top of my head because I definitely did not. This is not my area of expertise. It is a Greek goddess of magic, crossroads, ghosts, and the night. She is associated with the underworld, having assisted Demeter in her search for Persephone and becoming the companion of Persephone during her annual visits. So she's kind of a player in the underworld, and so that's how, because I was like, who the heck is mighty hectate? So I like that it was a woman. It's not like they were using some like Hades or somebody else that like protected the underworld or that oversaw the underworld. I like how they threw in a woman, so that made me happy. um and they were needing to stab his eyes, but he didn't end up needing his eyes stabbed because he comes back to life and starts choking Jilly, which maybe he did need his eyes stabbed so that he didn't do that, but they were too nervous to do it. And so they end up having to kill him again and bury him in the yard. I was like, this is like exactly what happens when you do the wrong thing and it doesn't work
Yeah.
out.
No, when he opened his eyes, it was terrifying because his eyes looked so different from like how they
Yeah,
looked when he was alive. They were like
really
smaller.
creepy.
It was it was so scary. And the whipped cream when they like did the star with the whipped cream.
Yeah,
I
and
thought
then
so.
she eats it. She's like, oh, she tastes the whipped cream after she's done a star. And I'm like, okay, I would probably do that, but also this is a dead body. You just put it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does the star on his chest and whipped cream and then takes her finger and eats it. And I was like, what is happening? Uh, but I thought that was really funny. But he's a very scary dude. So, but maybe they should have stabbed him in the eyes, and that would have helped. But I was like waiting to see where they were going to put these pins in his eyes, and then I'm glad they didn't because I was like, that was gross.
Yeah, me too.
So the aunts and the girls come back to greet Jillian after they've obviously buried this man in the yard. Um, and they then see that the sisters go to hang out in the shop. They're doing stuff around the house. And during midnight margaritas, where they end up telling way too many truths, they realize that they are drinking a bottle, the same one that was poisoned, or a similar brand at least, was left on the porch as a gift. And during their midnight margaritas, a broom fell, which means company is coming. The
So
aunts
creepy.
like realized there was something wrong and they left and told the girls to clean up their own mess. So the roses over where Jimmy was buried grew overnight, like, and he started haunting them. What was your guess for I talked about we were gonna hit a song, and you said you thought you had a guess for what the song was that we were gonna talk about after this movie that I was like was inspired by this movie.
I thought it was gonna be the Put the Lime in the Coconut song from when they were drinking, and I literally downloaded it on my Apple Music because it was so good. I was enjoying that scene so hard until like they were getting haunted. but
Yeah,
so
that
funny.
song is by Harry Nilsson, and that one is a 1971 song, and that was not the song that I was thinking of. But a good guess. It was a good guess. It was not from the movie, but we'll talk about it later. Then Gary Hallett, a special investigator from Tucson, shows up to talk to Jillian about Jimmy. Sally doesn't think that she can lie to this police officer for some weird reason. She can't lie to him. She said that he seems very familiar, and she starts nervous rambling, which is what I do in most social situations. And about any time I'm nervous, if I'm around a cop at all, I'm going to be like telling them every secret. One time I accidentally stole a green bean. That is going to be probably the first story out of my mouth. And they're going to be like, why are you telling me this? It was, in all fairness, it was in my scarf, and I had bought green beans, and I had apparently dropped one in my scarf, and like I was, and then my friend was like, I can't believe you stole that. I was like,
You thief.
didn't know. So they learned from the detective that Jimmy actually had branded and killed other women, and they're trying to connect the deaths to him. The cop investigates taking a sample from the seat of the car, from the belladonna that was left in the car, and asks around town to hear stories about how they're witches, is what everybody in town starts telling him. Jilly does a spell to banish unwanted people to get the cop to go away and puts it in the syrup. The detective, Gary, asks Sally if she's hiding Jimmy. This is my favorite part. And she says, not in this house. And then asks if she and her sister killed him. And she says, yeah, a couple of times. And he's just like so confused. It's a good way to spin it. I like it because it's a PR thing. It's how you spin it.
Yeah, she didn't lie.
She didn't lie. But he has a badge, which is a star, and he makes perfect pancakes. Jillian mixes the potion in the syrup, and the girls throw it into the water because they realize that that is her mom's perfect love. Then they notice a weird toad that coughs up Jimmy's ring in front of the detective, which is just gross.
Yeah. It's not like that either. Forgot about that.
Goes to confess, but doesn't quite confess, and then she and the detective make out. And that's when she realizes he has one green eye and one blue, even though that is the only scene that it does not look like he just has full blue eyes. Like I was watching last night, and I was like, I thought he had one green eye, and then I'm watching the entire movie going, they look blue. They look blue, except for one minor time. When I've actually seen someone with two completely different color eyes, but yeah, they couldn't even do that for this movie, so I guess.
Yeah, colored contacts. Come on, man.
Right? So she's running home, and she gets a message that she's needed at home telepathically. And Jimmy's ghost comes out of Jillian's body. The detective shows up, and Jimmy tries to go through his chest, but the star on his chest saves him, and Jimmy disappears. Sally admits to killing Jimmy, and then admits to conjuring up the detective. Curses only have power, he says, when you believe in them. And you know what? I wished for you too, which was like so sweet.
Yeah.
Love story.
It's so they're cute. They're really cute.
They're so cute. And then the ghost goes into Jilly again, and the aunts come back and are like, what happened here? They say that you need a full coven to banish the guy. That means 9 women. And so Sally uses her phone tree to try to get up the 9 women who didn't really like her before and called her a witch and suspected she was a witch, but now they're all witches because they're all getting involved to help her, and they like the drama, kind of was what it seemed like. There are toads everywhere as Jilly is being hauled away to get exorcised, get Jimmy out of her body. They get the house ready, these women show up, and the coven tries to drive out Jimmy's spirit. They reenacted the blood oath, and the women were able to drive Jimmy's spirit out and save Jillian, and then they sweep him out of the house, which I actually loved that part because my great-grandmother used to sweep bad spirits out of the house all the time. So every year, that's what she did. And it was kind of fun to see that portrayed in a movie.
Yeah.
Um, Later, Sally receives a letter from the detective that Jimmy's death was ruled accidental, and Sally casts a leaf in the air to call the detective back to her. He comes back, they fall in love, curse broken. Always throw salt over your shoulder, she says. Keep rosemary by your garden gate, plant lavender for luck, and fall in love whenever you can. And that's the end.
Such a good movie. Such a good movie. Love
Such a
the
good movie.
detective. Love him.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he
And I
was.
didn't say that who he was played by. He was actually played by Aidan Quinn. And Aidan Quinn has been in a bunch of things. He was in Legends of the Fall. Um, let's see, he's been in Blue Bloods. He did an episode of there. He's done a couple episodes of Law and Order. He did a bunch of episodes as Captain Thomas Gregson in Elementary. He did 154 episodes of that. But he's been a bunch of movies pretty much since then. So you should check him out. White Collar, he was in one episode there. But yeah, his IMDb goes on forever, it seems like. So he's been doing a lot of
Yeah.
work since Practical Magic.
Oh my God.
And
He's a
it
good
was a good,
actor.
yeah, and it was a good opportunity for him in this movie. It was a good character he played, and it kind of highlighted his skill set. So,
Yeah, I
hey.
agree.
Well, so typically we sometimes like to cover, like we've been talking about covering a song, and the song that I was thinking of is actually Goodbye Earl. Hey, do you know what song that is?
No,
Oh my
maybe when I hear
gosh.
it.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is because we can't play music over the pod, we're gonna take a break for a second. We're gonna listen to Goodbye Earl. We'll come back and talk more about it. But Goodbye Earl is a song that comes out of the 90's, in the late 90's, comes around actually this time. It was released in 1999. Practical Magic came out in 1998. There was a few movies that came out that kind of, I'm sure, stemmed the song Goodbye Earl, because it's along the same lines. But this was done by, they were called the Dixie Chicks at the time, and now they're called the Chicks. And so we'll check out Goodbye Earl. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, what do you think?
That was so good. Oh my God, they killed Earl. F
They kill
Earl. Earl
Earl.
sucks. Just like Jimmy. F Jimmy. Jimmy sucks. I knew Jimmy was bad though the minute he put that like blindfold on Jilly. I was like, I just got bad vibes. Not because of like that specifically. I just like I knew. I was like, he's gonna turn bad. I can guarantee
Yeah.
it.
So it's kind of along the same lines, the song,
Yeah.
like Goodbye Earl. So they say like she is the music video is kind of weird and hokey, but the song is really cool if you listen to it too without the music video. But so they were friends and one went to college and one stayed behind. She ended up marrying this terrible man who abused her, and she was like covering up everything. And then finally she got up the gumption to leave him, and he actually like went right through this restraining order and put her in intensive care, is what they say. And so her friend came back and they worked out a plan to kill him. And they, I like the lines where they're like, "How are those black-eyed peas, Earl? They taste all right to me," because they poisoned him. And then suggest that they lay him down to sleep. They wrap him up on a tarp, and then later they tell you, like in the final lines, that they took him out to the lake and stuffed him in the trunk and then dumped his body. So, and he wasn't missed at all. Like they were able to kind of go away and do other things. So this was there were a few movies that kind of fell into this category. I think that stimulated this song, but the Chicks did a really good job, and that was Goodbye Earl. So
Oh my gosh. So that was based on practical magic or like the plot of it in a
I
sense?
don't know what it was based on. I can Google it, but what was it based on?
Hey.
It actually might be based on our next movie, but we will find out. It's been compared to, so there was a previous movie called Thelma and Louise, and that was a movie of same similar thing. Two friends, they end up, it's a pretty tragic story because they end up driving to their death intentionally. That was a 1991 movie. It's not actually on our list yet, but I mean, if we wanted to get to it, it's a rough movie to watch, in my opinion, because it's kind of a crime adventure. But that is a good movie. It falls in 1991. And so I think this and then our next movie, you'll see more. And then Practical Magic is just like a icing on the cake for this story.
Okay.
So
Practical Magic was so good. I love that movie. That's a movie that like I will watch again in my free time.
yeah, I mean it was a really good movie, and yeah, it's got the witchy vibes, and like I said, they're going to be coming out with the sequel. They're working on it right now, so I think it's supposed to hit next year. So it's one to take a look at. But our next movie has some similar themes, and it's called Fried Green Tomatoes. So we are hitting some of these, and I realized yesterday that I was like, man, maybe I'm hitting a lot of like feminist movies, or it's kind of like it was an unintentional like vibe, but this upcoming movie is such a critical movie for, I think everyone needs to just see one time.
Okay.
But it is about two interwoven friendships, one between Evelyn Couch, which is a 1980s housewife, and Ninny Threadgood, an elderly woman who tells her stories. And the other is a historical friendship between Eddie Threadgood and Ruth Jameson, who run the Whistle Stop Cafe in the 1930s Alabama. So you kind of like bounce between the 1930s and 1980s. This movie was made in 1992, I think. 1991, my bad. And so you'll kind of bounce back and forth in the storytelling between these past decades, but it's a really good movie to see. And I'm trying to think of who you would know from the movie. Notably, for most people, Kathy Bates plays Evelyn Couch. This is a kind of a classic Kathy Bates thing. Did you ever see the movie Misery?
Nope.
Okay, it's a horror movie. It's pretty dark. It's a really good play as well. But she plays that. Kathy Bates is in there. She's also in a bunch of different stuff. I'm trying to think of like she's in Titanic. She plays the unsinkable Molly Brown. So I'm sure you've seen Titanic.
Yes.
You might not remember her right off the bat, but if you looked her up, I'm sure you would recognize her. She's in the new series Matlock, the new Matlock that's out on TV right now, which is actually really good. So if you haven't seen that, definitely recommend you checking that out. She's been in a lot of things over the years. She's been in episodes of like The Big Bang Theory or American Horror Story. Yeah, there's a bunch of different stuff that you could probably recognize her from. She was in a really good show called Harry's Law. They didn't continue it, and I am so sad that they didn't continue it. She's also in did you ever see The Office with Joe Bennett?
Yes. I saw a little bit of it. Like, I don't know if it was one of those shows that I'd like fall asleep to.
That's sad. I'm sad. I will pretend you didn't just say that. In The Office, which is a great show, and you should watch all the episodes and not fall asleep. She plays this like tycoon from Texas, I think it is, that comes in and buys out the paper company, and her name's Jo Bennett. And she comes in with her big dogs, and she's a powerhouse and she's funny. But she was in movies like also P.S. I Love You, which is a good one. She was in Failure to Launch. She's like got a really great role in Failure to Launch. So she's in a lot of cool stuff. I'm trying to think if you'd recognize anybody else in the movie fried green tomatoes, and I'm not honestly sure that you would. So I guess we'll have to go through it and watch it and see if you recognize anyone. But it's a classic. Every woman should watch it once in their life. It hits on a lot of topics that are relevant and important to women, from just like your own impression of yourself to an aging to abuse to all sorts of different things. So I think it's a good one to watch. That's why we're gonna knock it out right away and get to it. So that's our next thing.
Okay, is it like a coming of age type of movie?
No.
Okay.
Because it's a reflection back, and it's like this middle-aged woman is talking with an older woman, and then they're reflecting back on the older woman's life.
Okay.
Does that makes sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to give you too much. I'm trying not to give too much away.
That sounds good though. I kind of
But
like
if you
that idea,
search
though. Okay.
fried green tomatoes and get a recipe, you're looking at the wrong thing.
Okay. Oh, that sounds
Those are also good, but not the point of this
God. That sounds good. Hungry.
Yeah, it's lunchtime. So, well, that's the end of today's podcast. Hopefully you got a little taste of the 90s. Make sure you're watching along with us. Fried green tomatoes, we're gonna probably check it out, rent it from Amazon. I think it's like $3 on Amazon. So that's what we're hitting next. I feel like it should be carried by every platform, but right now it's not free on the platform. So that's how we're going to be finding it. But yeah, if you have questions about the 90s and or want to share your experiences with the 90s or some of your favorite movies, I was just asked today, when are we doing Jurassic Park? And I was like, it's on the list. Hannah's already seen that one, but it's on the list. It's such an important watch. So we'll be tackling a variety of different things. So don't think it's just going to be about feminist movies or girls killing men or whatever that we've seen. Retribution, if you leave us for a younger woman, the things that we've seen in some of these movies. We will be hitting on like Space Jam and Cool Runnings and Free Willy and a bunch of different stuff coming up. So all the Adam Sandlers and the Jim Carrey movies and Robin Williams, we've got a lot of his movies on our list. So I'm really excited to keep going. And yeah, what do you feel about the 90s now that we've been doing this so far? Are you learning?
Yes, and I'm even more jealous about the style. Like, why? Why?
Oh no. Well, hopefully we hit on some things that'll make you second guess your decision, because there was a lot of styles that were not great. We want to leave them where they were.
I think I will say it is nice though, not seeing people like on cell phones in the movies. Like that always irks me when I like see people texting on their cell phone as like a scene. So that's nice that that's like not in the movies.
I find myself rewatching things and going, why don't they just pick up the phone and call? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like a lot of these movies I think they're very earnest and they're very sweet and they're very, like, they explore a lot more in conversation because they're not picking up phones and texting someone, or there wasn't you had to go and track someone down if you really wanted to talk to them, or you had to wait to run into them. So yeah, I find myself forgetting sometimes when I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, what? They wouldn't have had to go through all this effort of tracking this person down if they just picked up the phone. And then I was like, oh yeah, they can't do that. So they could pick up the home phone, but if the person's not home, it's kind of hard to get a hold of them. You will see in the later 90s there are cell phones. You will see like the big giant brick flip phone thing that gets more prevalent towards the late 90s movies, TV. So, but yeah, it's interesting. We didn't text back then though. It was just phone call.
I feel like that's so much better though than like having those scenes where it's like really close up to the smartphone and you just see like the text. Like that irks me. I do not like that. So I enjoy that I don't have to deal with that. And I don't know, I feel like there's more thought put into the plots of movies than there is now. So
yeah, and I mean a lot of movies now are very like, you have to do a lot more because of how much you can't make a problem that it takes two people a really long time to figure out because they have to track each other down now. Because they would normally just get on the phone and text each other or whatever, and the problem would be solved. So like I think it's very sweet the way that things are handled in movies from the 90s versus today. But I do understand that I think that the plots have become a lot more complicated. In order to put out a movie, it gets weird. And there was also this really beautiful thing where everything kind of got wrapped up in a nice bow in the 90s. So like a lot of it was, you had to feel good by the end of the movie. And a lot of movies will end that way, where it kind of wraps everything up in a nice bow. And then that kind of goes away in the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, because it's like, we've already seen that. We don't want to see it.
Like at this point, suspense is in, which is like stupid, because sometimes you don't want to be on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Or have it just not, like I've had movies that I've watched all the way through and they've just ended. And you're like, what?
With
what
like no
happened?
continuation. Yeah.
Yeah.
No explanation.
Where like is the character good? Like where did they go? Are did they go back to work? Like I don't understand why the movie's over and I want more. So and then they don't have more to give. So well, very cool. Well, I'm glad to show you a little bit more of the 90s and we'll keep going. And thank you all for tuning in with us. Millennial Meets Gen Z 90s edition.
Yeah, bye guys. Thanks for watching.